Hi, Chris.
Hi,
It's great to have you back
it's
after
great,
10 years.
great to be here.
You lived in Malawi for 11 years.
That's correct, yeah.
8 years of that you were in a township in Dirande,
Mm-hmm,
where you lived without water, running water, without electricity,
mm-hmm,
and right there among the people. And you were immersed into the culture.
mm-hmm,
You could experience things really how they were.
mm-hmm.
For 8 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So you integrated in that community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And then after that, you headed up some leadership training and so forth through Youth with a Mission.
correct.
Now you went back to Europe. How long have you been back in Europe now?
We've been back in Europe almost 10 years.
Live now.
Very closely knit community.
So you are one of the few people in the world that had a privilege to be integrated in an African culture
Mm-hmm,
and society, and also in European culture. And that's where your roots really are.
mm-hmm.
I would love to understand more from your personal experience, first-hand experience. Where do you think cultures developed? How did they develop? What is the differences? And what can we learn from this?
There are three key differences between what I see between the African culture and what has been in the Western culture. Honesty, trust, and safety. And those three things are driven by the truth of the Bible. So let's take safety. I can leave my door open, not locked, and know that no one will come into the house and steal.
In Germany.
In Germany, where I live in the township. I know that when I talk to someone, they'll tell me the truth. I know when I'm making a transaction, they will give me the best offer, even if it means that they're going to get less money. I know that as I walk around that I'm safe. I'm not going to find someone stealing money from my pocket or doing something that's going to make me feel unsafe. I know that I'm going to get justice in the court or the police. They're not going to try and accept bribes. They're going to give me the truth. They're going to give me a just outcome in a court case. So that gives me a sense of safety. Say I'm on the roads, I have an accident. I know that I will get a just hearing, a fair hearing. I'm not going to be afraid that maybe the police are going to do something dishonest. In business, there's trust because I know there's truth. And that has a whole effect on the way you live and how you feel about life. It has a whole effect on those areas. So safety, honesty, and trust. Now I remember speaking to a businessman in South Africa, and I said, you can't have good business without trust. And then I said, you can't have trust without truth. And then we went back and we said, you can't have truth without good character. And he was a Muslim and he agreed with me completely. And then I said to him, but you can't have good character without knowing the character of your God. And he said to me, well, there's only one true God. And I said, correct. And I asked him, what's the character of your God like? And he said, he's impersonal. But we reached the most important point.
Yeah.
You can't have good character without knowing the character of the one true God. It always goes back to who you worship. That's where the origin of it all is. And so the whole of this is driven by the Bible, because in the Reformation, people believed that the Bible was the highest authority, higher than the authority of the church, higher than the authority of the state. So they had a tool in their hand with which to tell what was true and what was not true. And then people became excited. We want to read the Bible because we want to find out this truth that enables us to then decide what is right and wrong, not the government or the church. So then that drove literacy, because people wanted to read the Bible in order to find the truth. And so you then had a whole movement towards literacy. The nations became literate in Europe because they wanted to read the Bible, because they wanted to know the truth, that then equipped them to then live a completely different life based on the Bible, not based on the traditions of the church, not based on the power of the government. So then you got a movement of the power moved from the elite to the masses. And then that gave people knowledge and understanding. And they thought, okay, we can learn things from the Bible. We can also use that to learn things from the rest of the world. They could learn things about politics, learn things about business, based on what they'd learned from the Bible. So then you've got a mass of people who knew the truth. Then democracy could work. Because the people had a biblical foundation. So then the voice of the people became the voice of God. Because they had a biblical foundation, then democracy worked. Democracy didn't work in Greece because the majority ruled, right? Mm-hmm. But the majority ruled on the basis of what they knew, right? But if they don't have a biblical foundation, then democracy can't work. It can only work if the masses know the truth and the highest authority is not the majority, but God's truth that is in the people. But if the people don't have God's truth in their hearts, then they have to live by a different standard. And when the majority rules, democracy can't work. The majority has to express the truth of God for democracy to work. And that's why democracy worked in the West. It didn't work in the Greek society, because the law of God was the highest authority, not the ideas of man. Only because people had seen that the truth of the Bible was the highest authority and accepted that, soaked in it, allowed it to transform them, so that they said, okay, what rules us is not our own desires, but what rules us is the truth of the Bible. And that provided the foundation for democracy. The whole thing that changed the direction in which Europe went was that people were of more value than money. That people were of great value. Why? Because in the Bible, man is made in God's image. And two, and probably more important, is that God himself became a human and then shed his blood for us. So if God was willing to become a man, that makes humanity extremely valuable. And it was that understanding that people are valuable that then said, oh, we need to release people. So then the leaders said, oh, we want to equip the people with the truth of the Bible so that and they wanted to do that because, yes, they're of equal value to us. Instead of the leaders being above the people, the leaders said, no, we're all on the same value because we all have the same value based on what God did on the cross. That Jesus shed his blood. Therefore, our value comes from the fact that God died for us. So that led to an equality within society. And so then people said, okay, we want to train others. And also we want to be honest because we know that God sees everything we do. And also we want to treat you well because you're of the same value as me. And so people were of more value than money. And then that released trust, so then we could do business. So it released business. It released technology because it said, okay, we want to use technology to help you then develop. Rather than using technology to control, we use technology to release people so that they could then develop.
Now, coming back to Malawi, do you see those same three principles working here?
No, because because people, there's a power structure where the leaders are more important than people. And two, money is of more value than people. So people were willing to cheat you, which devalues you. People were willing to even do things that are unsafe to make money. So then money became the highest, or money became of higher authority, or the need for power. So people would say, for instance, you wanted to do something in an office, that people would make it difficult for you to achieve your goal, because that shows that they have power over you. Whereas in the West, they would do their best to serve you and help you to achieve your goal. Why? Because you are of value, I am of value. We want to serve. Instead of being a power culture, where I want to prove that I have power over you, I can control you. No, you're of value, I'm of value. I want to serve you and help you to go where you want to go. So the service element was missing. It was a power structure rather than a serving structure, because it wasn't being driven by you are valuable. Based on the... You see, you cannot understand that a person is valuable. Other cultures do not produce that because they have no foundation for understanding that a person, an individual, is valuable. The only foundation that any nation can get is from the Bible. No other culture in history has achieved that, whether Greek culture, Hindu culture, Islamic culture, cannot produce a culture of care because they can't provide a foundation that shows that you and I are valuable. Only the Bible can do that, principally because God became a man. And it tells us that God became a man, and we know that is historic fact, and that he died for us. That is what provides the foundation for understanding that people are valuable, and then everything else comes from that.
So Chris, looking at this in a perspective that you've just given us, how do you see the way forward?
One pastor said to me, he said, many people have come to teach us, but he said, nobody has come to show us. And that really hit me as a key. We can give much teaching, but if there's no role models to show people how to apply that, then confusion persists. So you need people who are willing to get down with the people, share their life with them, and show them in a practical, realistic way, and value them. So I'm coming to serve you. I'm coming to release you. I'm not coming for you to fulfill my vision. I'm coming to equip you and serve you, which wasn't there often in our Western. We came as the leader, we came as the controller. We didn't come as the server. And I think that's one of the keys, that we have people here that can live with the people, show them, so that they can see, hey, this really does work. It works not just for the Azungu, it works for me. I think that's one of the keys.